Let me tell you something that will separate you from 95% of the people you know. The ability to force yourself to do what you hate, but know you must. Discipline is not about liking what you do. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. The farmer doesn't always feel like waking up before sunrise, but the crops don't care. The bills don't care. The dream doesn't care. So, he gets up. You need that same mindset. People talk about motivation like it's a spark that magically appears. No, it's more like muscle. You build it by pushing through resistance. The gym is a metaphor for life. No one loves the pain of a heavy squat, but everyone loves what it does to their body. So what's the lesson? You don't have to like the process. You have to respect what it produces. See, we're all told to follow your passion, but let me tell you a better rule. Follow your responsibility. Your passion is what you enjoy. Your responsibility is what builds your life. And when you do your duty long enough, even the hate becomes habit, and sometimes even joy. You don't hate the task, you hate being weak. You hate being tired, you hate facing your flaws, but that's exactly where the growth is. Every time you push through something you hate, you take a brick out of the wall of resistance that keeps you stuck. Do that long enough, and one day, you'll look back and see a clear path, a life you built not on comfort, but on character. So, the next time you're faced with something you dread, get up. Do it anyway. Your future is watching. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. You can have a dream so big it keeps you up at night. You can have the perfect plan written down in detail. And you can talk about it with passion that lights up a room. But without discipline, it all stays in your head. Goals are just wishes until discipline gives them legs. Discipline is doing it when it's no longer exciting. When the mood fades, when the crowd is gone, when it's just you and the task you'd rather avoid, that's the moment that builds the bridge. Every small decision to follow through, every act of consistency, every refusal to quit, that's another plank in the bridge. You don't get results by doing what's easy. Anyone can act on a good day. Discipline shows up on the bad days, the tired days, the frustrated days. That's when the bridge is built, slowly, quietly, one brick at a time. Most people never make it across. They camp out at the edge of ambition, talking about what they want. But a few get up early, stay late, and keep moving, even when it's hard. They don't rely on motivation, they rely on discipline. Because discipline doesn't ask how you feel, it just asks what needs to be done. You want to accomplish something? Then get comfortable doing what's uncomfortable. Master your day before your day masters you. That's how you move from dreaming to doing. That's how you cross the bridge. We don't grow from what's easy, we grow from what's uncomfortable. That's just how it works. Comfort feels good, but it doesn't stretch you. It doesn't demand anything extra. It lets you stay exactly where you are, and if you're not careful, it becomes a trap. The moment something gets too easy, it stops being a teacher. Growth lives in the challenge. It lives in the early mornings when the alarm goes off and you don't want to move. It lives in the conversations you've been avoiding. It lives in the task that intimidates you, the habit you haven't mastered, the skill you've been putting off because it makes you feel clumsy. That discomfort? That's the signal that you're on the edge of improvement. Most people turn back when things get tough, not realizing that's the doorway to real progress. The muscles don't grow unless they're torn a little. The mind doesn't sharpen unless it's tested. And the spirit doesn't strengthen until it's pushed past what's convenient. If you're only doing what's easy, don't expect much to change. Easy doesn't build resilience. Easy doesn't make you wiser. Easy doesn't prepare you for the moments life doesn't play fair. Because life won't always be easy. Lean into what's uncomfortable. That's where the lessons are. That's where the strength is built. And someday, what was once uncomfortable will become your new normal. And when that happens, you'll know you've grown. Excuses make today comfortable and tomorrow painful. That's the trade-off. And it sounds harmless in the moment. I'll do it later. And I don't feel ready. It's not the right time. We dress them up to sound reasonable, but every excuse is a delay in disguise, delay of growth, of opportunity, of progress. And while it may buy you a little relief today, it hands you a bill with interest tomorrow. You see, excuses are clever. They don't knock on the door as failure. No, they show up as protection, as justification. They whisper, "You deserve a break." When what you really need is momentum, they convince you that comfort now is better than discomfort with a payoff later. But what they don't tell you is that the comfort is temporary, and the cost shows up later in regret, in missed chances, in potential left unused. Every time you choose an excuse over effort, you trade in a piece of your future for a little ease in the moment. And the danger is it doesn't feel dangerous. It feels relaxing. It feels safe. But safety is not always progress. A ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are built for. People wake up years later wondering why things didn't work out, and it's not because they weren't smart or capable. It's because excuses stole their consistency. They stole their discipline. They stole their time. And time is the one thing you don't get back. You want tomorrow to be better? Then do what needs to be done today, especially when it's uncomfortable. When you stop letting excuses run the show, you begin to build a life that doesn't need escaping from. One choice at a time, one action at a time. No drama, no fireworks, just quiet, steady effort that adds up. So don't fool yourself with comfort today if it costs you tomorrow. Pain that leads to progress is far better than ease that leads to emptiness. Choose the work, choose the effort, choose the hard thing now, so you can enjoy the reward later. Doing what you hate trains your willpower like weights train your muscles. And just like in the gym, it's not the first few reps that make you stronger. It's the ones you want to quit on. That moment when everything in you says, let's skip it today, and you do it anyway, that's the rep that counts. That's where the willpower grows. You see, most people think willpower is something you either have or don't have. Not true. Willpower is built. It's developed. And the way you build it is by doing the thing you'd rather avoid over and over until the resistance starts to shrink. You don't need to love the process. You need to love what the process makes of you. Every time you do the thing you hate, whether it's waking up early, going for the run, making that awkward call, sitting down to do the work you've been putting off, you're strengthening a kind of inner muscle. And the stronger that muscle gets, the more capable you become, not just in that task, but in everything. Because discipline in one area leaks into all the others. It's easy to do what you enjoy. Anyone can do that. But the real builders, the real achievers, they've trained themselves to show up even when it's boring, even when it's painful, even when there's no applause. That's the secret, doing what you hate like it doesn't bother you, and one day, it doesn't. And just like weight training, you don't start by lifting the heaviest thing in the room. You start with something manageable, and you show up consistently. One uncomfortable task a day, one promise kept to yourself, one discipline reinforced. And soon, what once felt heavy starts to feel natural. It's not about punishment. It's about preparation. When life gets hard, and it won't break you, because you've already been practicing under pressure. You've already trained your will to step forward when others shrink back. So the next time you face something you hate doing, don't resist it. Use it. Use it as a training ground. Every unpleasant task is an opportunity to grow stronger inside. And when you build that kind of strength, success in the outer world becomes a whole lot easier to carry. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That's it. It's not some magical moment. It's not one lucky break. It's not found in a single big decision. It's found in the small ones, repeated consistently, even when they seem insignificant. Most people are chasing the extraordinary while ignoring the ordinary things that actually build their future. They want the shortcut, the secret, the overnight transformation. But success doesn't work like that. It's slow, it's steady, it's boring even. But it's reliable. You don't need to change your life in a day. You just need to change your habits and give those habits enough time to work. Simple things, like reading 10 pages of a good book, making the call you've been avoiding, saving a little money, exercising for 30 minutes, showing up on time, writing down your goals. Easy to do, also easy not to do. That's where the danger lies. The small things don't scream for your attention, but they quietly shape your future. And the compound effect of simple disciplines is powerful. Miss one day, and nothing happens. Miss two, still nothing dramatic. But miss a week, a month, a year, and suddenly, you're way off course. On the other hand, stay consistent, and the results start to multiply. Little hinges swing big doors. Small efforts practiced daily eventually lead to massive gains. Discipline isn't flashy. It doesn't get applause. It often looks like repetition, like routine, like ordinary effort. But those are the very things that create extraordinary results. Every day you follow through even a little. You cast a vote for the person you're becoming. And those votes add up. You want to change your life? Don't wait for inspiration. Build rhythm. Build structure. Show up for your own future by mastering the basics. One small discipline after another. Done daily. Without excuse. Without drama. That's the formula. And the best part? It's available to anyone willing to be consistent. Success isn't complicated. It's just hidden behind a door labeled, "Hey, do the work." The key is in your hand every day. You can either suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Choose wisely, because pain is part of the deal. There's no escaping it. The only question is, which pain do you want to carry? Discipline is a short-term pain. It's the early mornings. It's saying no to distractions. It's showing up when you don't feel like it, sticking to your plan, doing the thing you promised yourself you'd do. Discipline can feel heavy in the moment, no doubt about it. But it's a weight that builds you, not breaks you. On the other hand, regret? Regret is the long-term pain. It shows up later, quietly at first. Then one day it knocks a little louder when you see someone else living the life you could have had, when you realize time has moved on but you haven't, when you catch a glimpse of who you might have become, if only you had done what you knew you should. Regret is the pain that sticks. Discipline stings for a moment, regret lingers for a lifetime. And here's the thing, people think they're avoiding pain by skipping the hard stuff. They put it off, take the easy road, tell themselves I'll start tomorrow. But what they don't see is that the pain is still accumulating, just in silence. And one day it shows up with interest, missed opportunities, broken confidence, a life half-lived. But discipline? That's the kind of pain that rewards you. Every act of discipline gives you something in return: strength, pride, momentum, control. It might cost you comfort today, but it buys you freedom tomorrow. Discipline says, do the hard thing now so life gets easier later. Regret says, take it easy now and pay double later. Every time you're faced with a choice, sleep in or get up, delay or act, quit or push forward, you're choosing your pain. One sharp and honest, the other slow and heavy. One builds a future, the other buries potential. So the choice is always yours. Pay the price of discipline now, or pay the price of regret later. One is tough but temporary. The other is quiet but permanent. Choose wisely. Don't wait until you feel like it. Feelings follow action, not the other way around. That's one of the most important truths you'll ever learn about achievement. Because if you're waiting for motivation to strike before you act, you'll be waiting a long time. Motivation is unreliable. It's a guest, not a resident. It comes and goes as it pleases. But action, that's yours. That's always available. Most people get this backwards. They say, I'll start when I feel ready. But that's a trap, because the truth is, you probably won't feel ready. Not on day 1, not on day 10. Feelings are like the weather. They change constantly. Some days you're inspired, most days you're not. If you only move when you're inspired, your life will be built on random chances. That's no strategy. That's gambling. The real magic happens when you move first, when you take action regardless of how you feel. And something strange happens once you start moving, once you engage. Your emotions begin to shift, energy shows up, clarity shows up, a sense of purpose rises, not before you act, but because you acted. Think about exercise. You rarely feel like going to the gym beforehand, but get there, start warming up, break a sweat, and suddenly you're glad you showed up. That's the pattern. Action creates momentum, and momentum generates motivation, not the other way around. You see, winners aren't the ones who always feel like it. They're the ones who act like it, even when they don't. They've trained themselves to move first and let the feelings catch up later. That's discipline. That's maturity. That's leadership, especially self-leadership. If you let your feelings run the show, you'll always be at their mercy. But when you lead with action, you teach your emotions to follow, not command. You build a habit of forward motion. And once that habit is in place, it gets easier. Not because life is easier, but because you are stronger. So the next time you catch yourself waiting for the right mood or the perfect time, stop, start, do the thing, make the call, open the book, write the line, go for the walk. Start small if you have to, but start. Don't wait to feel ready. You'll feel ready after you begin, not before. What's easy to do is also easy not to do. That's the quiet truth behind every success and every failure. It's not the big decisions that usually determine the course of your life. It's the small, simple things you do or don't do every single day. Reading 10 pages of a good book? Easy to do, but it's also easy to skip. Saying thank you, making a follow-up call, saving a few dollars, writing down your goals, taking a 30-minute walk, none of these are difficult. But that's the trap. Because they're so easy, we think they don't matter. That's where the danger lies, not in the difficulty of action, but in the ease of neglect. Small disciplines seem insignificant in the moment. Skip one day and nothing bad happens. Skip another and life looks the same. But let that pattern continue, and eventually it shows. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly. Then one day you wake up and wonder how you drifted so far from where you wanted to be. The flip side is just as powerful. If something is easy to neglect, it's also easy to commit to, easy to practice, easy to repeat. And if you do, those small acts begin to build something. Consistency stacks. A little effort, repeated often, turns into a strength. A small saving habit turns into financial stability. A daily workout becomes health. A thank you note becomes a relationship. 10 minutes of study becomes expertise. Success doesn't demand brilliance, it demands consistency. And consistency is built on simple choices, repeated, without applause, without immediate reward. The trick is honoring those small choices, even when they don't seem urgent. Because they may not feel urgent today, but they're always important. So next time you think, it's no big deal if I skip it today, remember, it's easy not to do. That's how most people live. But that's also why most people stay stuck. If you want something different, you have to totally choose that's different. Not in some dramatic, once-in-a-lifetime way, but in those ordinary, forgettable moments when the right thing is just as easy to ignore. What's easy to do is also easy not to do. And in the end, that simple difference makes all the difference. You don't rise to the level of your motivation, you fall to the level of your habits. That's a truth most people don't realize until it's too late. Motivation is great when it's there. It can light a fire in you, get you moving, make you feel unstoppable. But here's the problem. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. It's tied to mood, weather, energy, even what you ate that day. You can't build your life on something that shifts with the wind. When the alarm goes off at 5 a.m., motivation is probably still asleep. When it's cold outside, when you're tired, when no one's watching or cheering you on, motivation takes the day off. That's where habits come in. Habits don't ask how you feel. They don't check if you're inspired. They just show up. They're like the autopilot settings of your life. Once they're programmed, they guide your direction, whether you're paying attention or not. Think about it. When pressure hits, when life gets chaotic, when you're overwhelmed or distracted, you don't fall back on some big motivational speech. You fall back on what you've trained yourself to do over and over again. That's your real foundation. That's what holds or breaks when things get tough. Winners don't win because they're always fired up. They win because they've trained themselves to keep going when they're not. They've built systems, habits that operate even when motivation is nowhere in sight. The small things done consistently, writing the plan, hitting the gym, making the call, turning off distractions, following through on what they said they'd do. Not just when they felt like it, but especially when they didn't. The key isn't to get more motivated. The key is to build better habits. Habits take over when inspiration fades, and it will fade, that's guaranteed. But your habits, they're with you every day. They don't care about emotion, they care about repetition. So take a good look at what you do on autopilot. Are those routines pulling you toward your goals or pulling you further away? Because when things get hard, you won't rise to your best hopes. You'll drop to the level of your preparation. And that's what your habits are. Quiet, daily preparation for the moments that count. Build habits you can count on. Train yourself in the dark so you don't panic in the light. That's how progress is made, not by bursts of motivation, but by the daily, quiet discipline of habits that carry you when your feelings can't. Success is buried on the other side of boredom, repetition, and the things you hate. Dig anyway. Because what most people don't realize is that the path to success isn't paved with excitement or constant breakthroughs. It's built on the daily grind, the steady effort, and the willingness to do what others won't, even when it feels tedious or uncomfortable. Boredom is a test. It's the silence between the loud bursts of inspiration. When you push past boredom, you prove that you're serious. You show that you're willing to keep working when there's no immediate reward, no applause, no recognition. That's where the champions are made, in the quiet, unglamorous moments when it would be easier to quit. Repetition is the key that unlocks mastery. No one becomes great by doing something once or twice. It takes showing up again and again, perfecting the process, refining the details. Repetition can feel monotonous, even discouraging, but it's the engine of growth. Every successful person you admire has a routine they follow day in and day out, whether they feel like it or not. And then there's the things you hate, the uncomfortable tasks, the inconvenient calls, the hard conversations, the early mornings, the late nights. Those are the real separators, because everyone wants the reward, but few want the work that leads to it. Doing what you hate doesn't mean you love the process. It means you understand the process loves the results. You embrace the discomfort because you see beyond it to the prize waiting on the other side. Success doesn't come wrapped in a bow. It's hidden under layers of perseverance, discipline, and a stubborn refusal to give up. You have to dig deep, keep going when your mind screams to stop. Keep working when the results aren't visible yet. It's a slow burn, not a quick flash. So when you face boredom, when the repetition drags, when the task in front of you feels unbearable, remember this: the treasure you seek is buried there. Dig anyway, because the only way through the grind is through it. And on the other side, success waits, not for the lucky, but for the relentless. Success is buried on the other side of boredom, repetition, and the things you hate. Dig anyway. Because if you think success is going to come wrapped in excitement and glamour, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Real success isn't about momentary thrills or sudden bursts of inspiration. It's about the steady, grinding work that most people refuse to do. It's about showing up day after day and doing what needs to be done, whether you like it or not. Boredom is the quiet test of your commitment. It's that feeling when everything feels dull, when the sparkle fades, when the novelty wears off and all you're left with is the routine. Most people give up here. They look for something new, something easier, something more exciting. But those who push through boredom discover something powerful. Growth happens in the mundane, strength is forged in the repetition, and character is built in the moments when you want to quit. Repetition is the secret weapon of mastery. You can't master anything by doing it once or twice. It takes repetition, doing the same task, practicing the same skill over and over until it becomes second nature. This repetition is often lonely and tedious. It's the grind that doesn't get noticed, but it's what separates the amateurs from the professionals. Every success story you admire is backed by hours, days, weeks, and years of relentless repetition. And then there are the things you hate, those tasks you avoid, those conversations you dread, those sacrifices you don't want to make. Here lies the real challenge. Because success demands that you do the hard things, those things that test your patience, your willpower, and your resolve. You might not like it, but you do it anyway, knowing that these uncomfortable steps are the price of progress. Success is not found in comfort. It is buried beneath layers of effort, persistence, and discipline in spite of discomfort. It's waiting for those who are willing to dig deep, to keep going when others stop, to do what others refuse. So when you feel bored, when the repetition feels endless, when you're faced with the things you hate, remember this: the treasure you seek is right there, just beyond the surface. Dig anyway. Keep going. Because success isn't for the faint-hearted, it's for the relentless, the determined, and the ones who refuse to quit.